Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name's Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. And today I have a very special guest, Mr. Pete Johns, studio live today, and we're going to talk all about AI and 1,300 episodes. Let's Oge.
Concerns just can't wait. Don't fret the tunes of silicon hearts. It's the metal that patrols and tears us apart. Let's not lose our sight in this digital haze. For it's the music and art of powers you crave. While the thoughts wander through are marching along, programmed to enforce without a soul. In the name of control, they take the toll. All the threats are through our strong. Solid soldiers are marching along, programmed to enforce without a soul. In the name of control, they take the toll. Oh, don't fret the silicon hearts. It's the metal that patrols and tears us apart. Let's not lose our sight in this digital haze. For it's the music and art of powers you crave.
Well, wasn't that a load of absolute rubbish? There you go. That's the kind of music you get to make with Suno. Soulless, absolute crap. And welcome to the show. My name is Jade. This is How to App on iOS. I know I sound a little bit yucky today because I'm not feeling too well, but good news is did a COVID test and I'm negative, so that's good stuff. We're going to dive into AI today. I hope you're excited. We're going to cover it from the beginning right to the end. And yes, there's been some major developments for AI music. We're going to cover all of that today, get into the nitty gritty. I have the court documents, and we're going to cover that stuff. We're going to go all the way through to Apple Intelligence, and I'm going to do it with my good friend who I know I can relax with. I can take off my pants, sit down, and just not have a care in the world because he's awesome. He's my mate, and I can say anything around him. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Pete Johns.
You had me at court documents, Jade. I just got a little bit aroused by that. I've got to tell you, I do love a good court document, and I love talking AI because it's mostly BS. But no, we'll get to that. But it's always a pleasure. I love coming on your show because as we discuss off air, I do my usual level of preparation, which is virtually none. So I come here and it's completely off the cuff. You get me unfiltered, bowls and all. So welcome, and thanks everyone for being here.
I love it. I do look forward to these. I try and do one of these, every month and a half kind of thing, have you on, because, it feels good to just relax and talk shit with a mate. So what do you think of that song we just played there, The End of the World?
I think fitting title. It's been rough. It's been a rough couple of months. There's been, like everything, the hype cycle is ridiculous, and not to spoil it, but spoiler alert, AI is not the best thing ever, and it's also not the worst thing ever. It's just a tool. Like most of us, It's just a tool, and I think people are getting way too excited. All the tech bros and all the crypto bros are now AI bros, which I think we talked about last time I was on the show, and it's just overhyped, oversaturated, and people are getting way too excited about things, and sounds like they're about to get their comeuppance for going all in on one thing. All your eggs in one basket, folks. Never a good idea.
Oh, yeah, it's coming. Hello to everybody in the chat. We'll say hello to you now. We've got Sean Chandler in the house. We've got Cold Acre. We've got Mark Bro. Thomas Christ, the mod with the most. Secret Legacy, what's going on? Costa. Say hello if you're here. Okay, so I'll give you a call out. SM Borthwick, g'day. Leedy Perez. It's awesome to have you here. And who else? There's Pete Johns. Pete Johns is typing in the chat and here. Amazing stuff. SG Experiment, g'day, my friend. And scroll up, see if I think that's most of you. Yeah, I said there's more people. If you want to say hello, say hello. If you don't. All good. What is AI? Do you remember when? Let's go back to the simpler times, Pete. I remember AI being something when I would play Siphon Filter on my PlayStation 1, and that was the artificial intelligent bad guys that would awesome. They would always run into my bullets somehow, and I would always think they're not very smart.
It was funny, yeah. If you're a gamer, yeah, AI was always who you played against. When you played against, we used to call it playing against the computer, and then they're like, "Oh no, it's artificial intelligence." Which, and again, spoiler alert, it's basically what AI is now. Which it's programmed in, it's programmed automation to artificially do something that a human is not doing. So if you played Pong against the Atari back in the day, then that was using AI because that was someone programming it in saying anticipate this. And now we have ChatGPT where it's literally anticipating the next word, and people are like, oh my God, it's the best thing ever. And it's like, it's exactly the same. It's just using machine learning to learn what the next predicted thing should be and what it should do. And is it a bit smarter than Pong? Yeah, you can't just exploit it and know that you can whack it in that top corner and it's going to miss it every time. But it's the same concept. So yeah, artificial intelligence, and it was always like the sci-fi geek's dream of like having these robots. Like, I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave. Of being like sentient. And I think people get carried away because they think AI and they suddenly think like in artificial intelligence being these sentient beings that are going to take over the world, Skynet, blah, 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 all that. So yeah, but it's come from a place of like 20, 30 years ago. We were talking about this stuff. And it's weird because artificial intelligence has been and is in everything and has been for decades. But it's like this generative AI. Once you put generative in front of it, people kind of got a little bit moist downstairs, and the rest is history.
It's thinking.
Yes. Thinking and learning. It's like, yes, machine learning. We've had that in our chips since the iPhone 3s. But anyway.
Yeah,
Anyway.
and even AI in computer games, like I mentioned Siphon Filter or something like that, where you got to get to a certain point, there's a bad guy, you got to get through all these bad guys. They all still run on a pattern. Even though they were classed as artificial intelligence, they all still ran on a pattern, and you'd watch and get to know the pattern of where they moved and where they turned, and then you could sneak by and not have to choke that one out and do all that stuff. So everything still ran by patterns, and to a degree, we're still in the same place because you've got to feed in those patterns. Like, there's never any point where you would play a video game and all of a sudden, like, now there's randomization, of course, probability and stuff like that, which we have in our music apps too these days, like generative music apps, which generate chord progressions and stuff like that. So we have that degree in Chemol K's apps that he releases. But even so, there are games there are games out there where you may play through the same level, and they do a different pattern. It's still not learning. It's not smart.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and it still comes back to like I was watching something the other day, and someone smarter than me was talking about it, and they said that things shouldn't learn against human stuff, and I'm like, if it's learning from itself, what's the point of machines learning from machines? Like it is all of our input. So if you want to create things that humans like, that humans can interact with, it needs to have a human feel to it. Because if machines teach machines, it's like and again, we'll get into the music side of it, but the furor around people's books and articles and things being ingested by AI and then regurgitated. It's like, well, would you prefer only just the automated crap SEO pages to be interpreted? Can you imagine the quality of the chatbots if you just let the chatbots interpret the chatbots and then regurgitate that, the amount of hallucinating and the low quality of stuff. So yeah, like as usual, my butt hurts from being on the fence so much because love technology, love cool shit, love seeing things advance and progress, dislike creators getting shafted and people being sad because they think that they're losing their jobs because of machines. But I think the reality is somewhere in between. I think, what did someone say the other day? Someone said, "Oh, lawyers are screwed because these chatbots can look at legal precedents and can read textbooks much quicker and better than any lawyer ever could." And someone actually responded to that saying, lawyers aren't screwed, as much as we'd probably like that. Lawyers who don't use these tools are screwed. So if you want to be a Luddite and stay in the past and not actually embrace and accept some of the changes that are coming, then you're going to be a little bit screwed. So if you're still trying to split stems by adding filters and gently kind of caressing your audio instead of just throwing it into a stem splitter and pulling it out in 30 seconds, you're going to be left behind in the music world if you're doing remixing, if that's kind of your jam. And it's the same with any other job. Unfortunately, we've had this before. We have the agricultural revolution, we have the industrial revolution, we've had the technological revolution. Are we going to have the AI revolution? A little bit. Like, everything is always moving forward, and I think if you just stick yourself in the mud and say, "But I've been folding boxes for 74 years, you can't put no box folding machine in place of me." Well, guess what? Yeah, they can. So you might need to work out how to operate the box folding machine, or you might be a bit screwed.
Well, let's start on. So we've talked to what AI used to be to us, and again, you can't talk about AI without talking about Terminator 2, because that's the thing. And I've even written a movie about this, about Terminator 2, and there was the warning that it was going to become smart, it was going to learn, and then it was going to learn that we're a bunch of idiots. And it wouldn't take that long to learn that, because we are a bunch of idiots.
Would it be that bad? If we were led by robots, would it be much worse than what we're led by now? Just saying. No, just putting it out there.
Well, the thing is, we're teaching it.
Yeah, and that's it. It will be. We'll reap what we sow, because if it is genuinely machine learning and it's learning from humans and it's going to copy us, it's like, so you should hate everyone that's not like you and then just try and have all the power and the wealth in the world. Okay, I got it. I got this. And then, off it goes. So yes, it is our fault. Everything is our fault. You're bad, and you should all feel bad. Just saying.
Before we break into the individual things that are currently, huge AI things, I want to talk about this now. It's not on the list, and I forgot to put it on there.
Cool.
Because one of the things that I keep hearing from major tech companies is, AI is going to help us sort out climate change. And that's a great idea. But let's just talk over here for a minute, because computing has taken a quantum leap forward with the arrival of artificial intelligence, but with these advances come challenges. There are those who believe the rapid rise of AI is going to pose a major energy problem, and it already is, because the energy grids around the world are being absolutely sucked completely dry with this stuff. The amount of energy it takes to actually generate all of this stuff is blowing everything out. And all of the major companies are going ahead, and they have said to Google, Apple, that we are going to go completely, off the grid without no coal and all that stuff. And Apple's already pretty much nearly 100%. But there isn't going to be enough to do it. No. And there's some pretty wild statistics that have come out over the last couple of days, which I'll pull up in a second, where the energy system, our current energy grid, is being maxed to a point of like 600% more than the last 2 generations of our existence. Yeah. That's not good.
It's not good at all. And people know me, I'm a lefty commie hippie, so I love me the environment, and I love me the whole Earth surviving and living and stuff, and creatures and plants and that sort of thing. I don't call me crazy, but I think that we should probably protect the only planet we could possibly inhabit. And I also have another hat to wear on this, because I used to work in the energy industry, believe it or not. So I actually have a lot of knowledge of energy usage and the energy usage over time. And interestingly, over the past few decades, we've actually been able to curb our energy use. Energy
we
use
have.
Overall, in residentially and in business, has surprisingly gone down due to the technological advances and not doing inefficient processes and manufacturing processes improving. And we hit this point where it's all down here, and it's starting to go up. At first, it was the crypto bros that were making it go up
Bitcoin.
for stuff that was completely unnecessary through Bitcoin and other crypto exchanges. And now that crypto's kind of dead on its ass, it's going to be AI. And the thing is, people don't realize that every time you open your device, every time you do anything, it's great that you're not using your own device, and we'll talk Apple later and their on-device stuff. It's great that you're not using your own device, you're using something in the cloud. But every time you add cloud to something, cloud ain't some magical cloud that's just sitting up there that is created and able to be run. It's a server. The cloud is just a server sitting in some room, in some server farm that is serving up you data. And that data has to be served, it has to be powered, and then it has to be transmitted. So we're talking about the power to run the servers. We're talking about the power to transmit that over all the lines. There are big friggin' lines that go under seas, that go across land, that are carrying all of this data. So every time you're like, I've got an unlimited plan, I can use as much data as I want. Yeah, you can. But guess what? The planet doesn't have unlimited energy. So every time you open and play Wordle or do the chatbot, I wonder if I could make it say fart. Let's see if I could trick it into making it say fart. Yeah, you just use like a couple of kilowatts to make your AI bot say fart.
Is that what you do in your spare time?
That's what I do in my spare time. I'm like, can I make it? What if I make it say far too far away? Maybe it'll go fart, and then I just clip that audio. Oh, it said fart. Yeah,
it's a far cry from boobs on a calculator. But by one official estimate, Sweden could see the power demand from data centers roughly double over the course of a decade, and then double again by 2040. In the UK, AI is expected to suck 500% more energy over the next decade, and in the US, data centers are projected to use 8% of the total power grid by 2030, up from 3% in 2022, according to Goldman Sachs, who described it as the kind of electricity growth that hasn't been seen in a generation.
Yes.
It's crazy. And here's the thing: it would be okay if it was for working out how to solve climate change, but at the moment, guess what it's for? Making images with people with 8 fingers and shitty songs like we just listened to then, and it's really not fucking that good. I never imagined, like I always imagine, it's why I made a film about AI taking over the world, that it was going to be this thing that we put into banking and computing and all this stuff to solve problems and climate change and all this. I didn't even factor in making music with freaking AI and pictures and video. So are we wasting our time with this stuff, or is it a sidetrack?
Yeah. I mean, at the risk of being the Apple fanboy that I have become, I wasn't, but I now pretty much am.
Yep.
I think Apple win in this case. I think they've positioned themselves beautifully. They've come in a year after everyone else. They've let all of the Google fall over themselves, the Chat GPT BS in their boardroom happen, and you can look up all that stuff if you want to.
We'll talk about it.
They've come in and said AI. Well, not only are we like completely Sherlocking you and we're changing the name, it's now Apple Intelligence, not artificial intelligence, but they've said they want to do as much of this stuff on device as possible. And that's really smart, because in 6 months' time, when all the other platforms are using thousands and thousands of gigawatts of energy, and they're like, actually, it's on your 100% carbon neutral smartphone, and 98% of the AI that's processed is done on your phone on device, which uses a tiny little battery, because we refuse to give you a bigger battery because we don't want you to last all day with your phone, which is another topic. But I think that they've really well positioned themselves, because they've gone, instead of going, what can it do that's different and new and is going to make people go, wow, that's a bit of a novelty? They've gone, how can this actually make people's lives better and more efficient? Yeah. So if AI is decreasing efficiency, which it is at the moment, the net output of AI is decreased efficiency right now. You can argue that with me if you want to, but we're not doing enough things to progress things forward to account for the amount of energy use and time wastage and hedge funds capital going into all this stuff at the moment. So I think, again, Apple have got it right in terms of it should be on device, and it should be doing things like improving Bugalugs, the voice assistants that we have on our devices, making sure that when I put in a calendar invite, it knows, hey, last time when I say meet with Jade, it knows you live in Melbourne. Like, I like that sort of stuff, because it'll go, I'll do this time zone change because we know we're in different places. That's the sort of AI that I want, that's going to watch what I do, and then the on device is going to work out. I was talking about this in a LumaFusion I use LumaFusion as my video editor on iOS. I was talking about this in a LumaFusion forum to say, what I want from LumaFusion, I don't want all the bells and whistles and AI. They're probably going to add it because they feel that they have to.
Yep.
All these companies feel they have to add AI to things. I just want it to watch how I edit and go, this guy basically just goes from wave to wave. I know this exists in other apps, but goes from wave to wave. He likes to cut within about, zero point 0.2 seconds just before he starts talking. So have a button that's the Pete button that goes in and just goes chuk, 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 and cuts exactly the way I cut because I've done it over and over again in LumaFusion. So that's the sort of thing that I think that artificial intelligence should be doing. It should be watching us.
It should be an assistant.
Yeah, don't tell Microsoft it should be watching us because they wanted to put another thing that their whole thing with their recall, which they wanted to put on their new PCs, that basically screen capture your screen every like 10 seconds and store it forever. But yeah, I kind of want it to do that in a private on-device way. I want it to watch what I'm doing, see how it can help me, and then improve my life, not make terrible music and make pictures with six fingers and videos that look like they've come from the pits of hell.
It's talking about Microsoft. So, all right. So that still on the energy thing. So basically, tech giant and its partners, Microsoft, say they expect to harness fusion by 2028. An audacious claim that bolsters their promises to transition from green energy but distracts from current reality. In fact, the voracious electricity consumption of artificial intelligence is driving an expansion of fossil fuel use, including delaying the retirement of some coal-fired plants. I don't know how now fusion is a fantastic idea, but fusion has been, we're going to discover that in the next 5 years. For the last 40, 50 years they've been saying it. And I don't think anyone's any closer. And I can't see Microsoft discovering fusion in the next, 4 years? Not going to happen.
I love it because where are my SimCity fans at? I used to play hours and hours of SimCity. SimCity 2000, when you hit 2030, you could install a cold fusion power plant. It solved all your problems. You didn't have nuclear meltdowns. You didn't have wind farms everywhere. You didn't have coal polluting your environment. You're like, yes, it's finally 2030. I can put my fusion. So maybe that's right. Maybe Microsoft knows something we don't know. Maybe they're smarter than us. But yeah, it is weird because at the same time as we're having these AI discussions, a lot of the political footballs being thrown back and forth are like, we should be all in on nuclear. No, we shouldn't shut down the coal industry. I'm sorry, coal industry. You're being shut down. You have a finite resource. That's how things work. But instead of preparing and planning and retraining, we're fighting. We're sticking our feet in and going, nah, we're not going to change. We just want to do this. While at the same time changing everything when it comes to AI to just use more of the dirty power that we're generating. I know I sound like a hippie because I am, but it's super frustrating. I love technology. I really genuinely love technology, and I want to see it progress. But I want to see it used for protein folding. I want to see it used for crunching massive data sets that can lead to breakthroughs in medication, so that people aren't taking 14 drugs that all fight with each other all the time. I want it to actually help people, and I think at the moment, I can't see, as SM Borthwick says here, it's a bit of a fad, and it's much more sexy for them to say, look at this cool image, look at this cool bit of music, look at this amazing video, instead of we crunched a massive data set yesterday and we're 1% closer to finding a better treatment for this particular condition. That's not sexy, but that's what we need to do. And I worry that people, and again, I feel I'm guilty myself. I promote a lot of this stuff. I think that all this new technology stuff is cool. And sometimes I stop and go, I actually feel a bit guilty because am I perpetuating this or am I, and that's why I like having these sort of chats, because I think we just need to put a realistic filter over this stuff and say it's not all good, it's not all bad, but how do we progress with it and how do we manage it moving forward?
Yeah, I want it to be C3PO and R2D2. That's what I want it to. I want it to be helpful. I want it to, at a glance, give me information, help me get to where I need to go better, help me do what I need to do better. I don't. The current state of it is trying to replace us. That's where they've taken the wrong. That's the wrong turn at Albuquerque. We don't need it to replace our arts and our creativity. That's doing fine. Arts and creativity are the things that have got us through so long, through disease, through catastrophe, through wars, through every man-made problem that we've created for ourselves. Arts has been the thing that has got us through the Black Plague. You go and look at all the paintings of death and destruction. It's our art that's got us through. We don't need artificial intelligence to help us process the man-made decisions, the tragedies, the joys, all the stuff, the emotions that we have, because AI doesn't fucking understand those things. So it can never do it. And as you heard by that song I played at the start, all the songs sound like that. Yes, they have a verse, they have a chorus. That's a catchy thing. They got a harmony. Oh, it's all great, but it has no soul. I've never heard one song from AI that has passion and soul, and I can actually relate to. It all just sounds like digital crap.
Yes, agreed. And as someone who now has to sift through this stuff, early on, look, it was because there was a lot of music that already is using things like auto-tune, which is very prevalent in AI music, and using the same sort of structures. It was a little tricky, but it has only taken me a few weeks. And now when I get a submission in for my weekly show, Your Music Live, plug, I can hear it. Like, you can just hear it. It starts off and there's just this instant vibe that you get that is not quite right. It's like the uncanny valley stuff. Like we thought we would have photorealistic video games by now, and we don't, because there's still just that uncanny valley of the difference between something that's actually computer generated versus something that a human made and that a human looks like. So yeah, it's not quite there. And if I could have my usual rant about the fact that it's the capitalism and the hedge funds and all the shareholders that are causing the problem, it 100% is, again, because a lot of this is driven by corporate greed and by big giant hedge funds that just want to deliver profits. It's make line go up at all cost. It's deliver value to shareholders, and customers, people, employees all come second, third, fourth, fifth. So if you think that they care, if you think that they're trying to deliver great, cool new products to make your lives better, you need to just go and check out the stock market and look at the financials of these things. They're not doing things unless they can profit from them. And we've seen that again and again, except for Spotify, who still haven't made a profit. So suck at Spotify. That's all I'm saying.
Let's talk ChatGPT, one of possibly the useful ones. It's definitely a useful one. And why not? I'm not going to sit here and tell you what it is. I just put in a prompt into ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT, what is your purpose to humanity? You tell us, ChatGPT. My purpose is to assist humanity by providing information, answering questions, and facilitating tasks in a wide range of areas. I can help with research, education, creative writing, problem solving, and much more. Don't forget racism. My goal is to support individuals in their pursuits and contribute positively to their daily lives by offering reliable and accurate information and assistance. Do you think that's a fair description from ChatGPT, Pete?
It's missed a few things. It's missed to make my corporate daddies all the money, is the thing that I think is missing there. And to make you go wow and sign up for umpteen $10, $20, and $30 a month platforms that you use a lot and then realize, they're all kind of samey and don't really deliver on what they wanted to. So yeah, look, it's a nice idea. It's got about 20% of what it actually does there, but of course it's not going to say, oh, you know what, I actually probably use too much energy. I kind of hallucinate a lot and don't really add a lot of value, because I tell you, I regurgitate things that you could just find from other humans if you just had a quick chat with an expert. But hey, we don't all have experts that we can chat to, so
it is just a modern Google, isn't it? It just is what Google's been doing, but with a more kind of friendly, humanistic kind of response. I mean, of course, always, as soon as these things come out, people find the worst things to do with them. And look, if ChatGPT didn't exist, can you imagine how many YouTubers have been busted for doing really bad things wouldn't have a great apology video? Because nearly all of them these days are written by ChatGPT. So much. And this is the thing too, while we're on ChatGPT, the latest wave of creators, I say creators, on YouTube that are completely AI driven, with AI speaking, AI scripts, AI images, and you watch them and go, wow, how has this already got 50,000 subs and just raking in all this money? And it's full of misinformation. And it's a thing YouTube are struggling with at the moment, trying to contain it and warn people off. I think they're even looking at putting warnings on these channels coming up soon, much like when there's misinformation about climate change or whatever, science or COVID. And now, if it is an AI channel that's giving you information, they're looking at putting warnings on, saying this is completely AI. And there's even a new section now. I'm sure you would have seen this, and anyone who's a YouTube creator, when you set up a stream, there's a little section down the bottom saying, do you mischaracterize anybody in this? Is there AI? It's saying, is there an AI generated voice or anything that misrepresents? And you've got to fill in that box and be honest and tell them, or they'll shut you down, because it's getting rampant, and people are being able to churn out videos, 50 videos a day just with AI.
It's horrible. We've seen the same thing. I've been in the world of sort of scammy course selling. So people telling you how to do courses on things, and one of the most common courses in the get rich quick kind of world is around how to automate a YouTube channel. Excuse me.
We're both sick, everybody. We're both sick at the moment.
My apologies. That was coming, and I'm like, can I get through this sentence?
I got lemon tea.
Oh, mate. But where was my point? Yeah, so the scam is around how you can make and it's always called something like make a six. If you ever see something that says make a six-figure income, just run away from it as fast as you friggin' can, because it's always bullshit.
Next video idea.
Make a six-figure income with an automated YouTube channel. You don't have to lift a finger. And it's like, the problem with this, and again, hippie, but problem with the capitalist society is that we focus on the outcome before we focus on the process or the impact.
Yeah.
And if you just want the outcome, if you want the outcome be me make $100,000, then it doesn't matter how many people you piss off. It doesn't matter if you're breaching the terms of service of the platform. It doesn't matter how ingenuous you are. And it doesn't matter the impact you're having on other real human creators that are actually working their asses off to do what you're trying to make a shit version of for no cost. And it's happened in the scientific YouTube world. So Kyle Hill, who many of you know, the long-haired dude, really cool YouTuber, does a lot of great science videos. Go watch his video. It's called YouTube's Science Scam Crisis.
It's a great video.
Fantastic. 16 minutes, well worth a watch, because he goes through it. He talks to an expert, and there's people now that are actually really targeting this stuff. They're dedicating and devoting their time to going in, finding these and reporting them. And the problem, if you think, can't they just be taken down? Can't you just put a copyright claim on these if they're stealing your stuff or if they're doing automatically generated? It's like whack-a-mole. It's like you whack one down and it pops up again. These people are creating 50, 100, 1,000 channels because they can use AI to do this, or, AI 1.0, which is lots of underpaid workers in developing countries, to just keep creating channels and putting content out there. And because the YouTube system has a 30-day turnaround for putting a claim in, they've made 30 days worth of income across all of these videos that are crappy AI videos on all these channels before they even get the first one that's actually going to hit them. And then they just move all their videos to another channel, put it back up, and just keep getting videos. So what could you do? Don't watch them. If you bring something, I always say, look for the human. Look for who is the human behind this channel. If it's Kyle Hill, you know it's Kyle Hill. It's Jade Starr, it's Jade Starr. Thomas Christ, Pete Johns, Ron Ward, Jeff, Metalhead Hippie. Like, look for the person, because if you can't find the human, it's probably an evil corporation or some dickhead that's just got 100 channels trying to put spam out there. So, yeah, it's a problem.
There's channels out there showing you how to do it too. There's so many channels showing you how to do everything through AI, how to get your content, how to get all the photos, how to generate it all super fast and have 50 videos up in a day. And it's wild that even YouTube are allowed. I guess, they can't control everything, can they? That's the thing. I just want to say thank you, Stephen, for the gifted 5 memberships, and Mark, 23 months. You rock. But what do they do about it? How do they control it?
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. Like, if you search right now, there's a video with 2.4 million views, and it's Jensen Tung, who I know nothing about, but they say how I made a YouTube channel using only AI. And it's got paid promotion too, so he's getting paid to make the video, and it's just sitting there, and it's like, I'm literally looking at it, it's like, videos are faithless, don't require any original ideas, and it's okay for, it's just absolute crap. So don't watch them, please. If you see a video that's not run by a human, just don't watch it. Just don't look, and report it. The more people that report stuff that's AI, that's breaching copyright or that's not real, the better it's going to be. Just tag it as spam. It's easy to do. Just put the little 3 dots and make it spam.
I watched there was one I watched the other day. It was about bears, funnily enough. I don't know. Anyway, and
Number or gay culture?
there's heaps of wrong information about it. Like, how do you fuck up bears, right? And it was clearly AI. And I left a comment saying, "Why does a bear shit in the woods?" And they never responded to me. That just makes me think, well, you obviously don't know the answer to that. It's a joke. So, but there was so much misinformation. There's so many science ones too. Anyway,
Yep.
let's move on to AI art because I'm kind of running through the way things have progressed with all this stuff. AI art becomes a thing. Midjourney is still something it's one of the only ones I still pay for. And the images today, the little robots that are created, these were made in here just by using my own photo. So that one, I just put in my own photo of myself. It made some... What's going on there? Anyway, same with you. I put in a photo of you and... came back. Where are we? Where's the photo I chose of you? There we go. So I put that one in there. These didn't come out too good. Oh, that one on the top corner, kind of similar. I don't know why your eyes are closed, but they're all pointing. But yeah, then we came up with this, and I was like, yeah, this one's the one. Well, that one's pretty good too. That one captures your arm pretty good. It looks like it's taking your arm pretty well. But I still use Midjourney. Why? Because it's one of the ones that continues to grow and add new things and get better and better, and it's fairly cheap, and it's not intrusive. Like it's in Discord. I can just mess around. Nobody can see what I'm doing in my own little channel. I like Midjourney. I'm really happy with it, and I never use it to. I only use it to make something that I know I don't have and I can't get from anywhere, and is something I want to generate that is about me and my channel. So.
Yeah, look,
It's important.
I don't use a lot in the way of image generation. I'm a Canva user, as many people know, and Canva, the way Canva works now is it has sort of little links in, and you get free access to a lot of these different things. So DALL-E, and they have their own sort of image generation. And for me, and again, I basically stop and think about things. So I wouldn't use it to, create a logo for my channel or to create a t-shirt design, because I think that's just, I don't know, there's something creepy about that. But if I'm doing a thumbnail and I need there's something that I use that's like a wall of amplifiers. And yes, I could sit down and I could find pictures of 100 different amplifiers and paste them in and orient them exactly as I want. Or I can say a giant wall of different types of amplifiers, and it just gives me that, and I stick that in the back of my thumbnail or in my background, and I'm good to go. So yeah, that sort of stuff, I think, and I'm not going to pay a human to do that. And that's kind of my litmus test. Is it like, should I or would I ever pay a human to do that? So it's how I justified, pirating so much software and movies and music back in the day. I'm just like, I'm not going to pay for it anyway. So if I just download it for free, that's okay, right? Yes, justify. But it's the same sort of deal. I don't think that artists are missing out. But if I'm a corporation and I did used to pay graphic designers, I did used to have a whole art department, and now my art department is one dude who is a prompt engineer, which, by the way, can you get your hand off it? Prompt engineer? Don't be such a wanker. You're not going to have a job in 3 years' time. But if you're a prompt engineer and you've replaced a whole art department, A, you're bad and you should feel bad, and B, it's just not good, because it's just corporate greed saying we just want something, and it's never quite as good. It's never actually replacing. It's always a little bit shitter. So if you want something slightly worse but for much less money, and we've seen this for years. We've seen slightly worse for much less. Have you called a call center lately? I worked in call centers for 20 years. They aren't getting better. They're getting worse. You're getting worse service from poorly trained, and it's like, that's one area where I'm like, make AI do this, because it's actually better than the poor humans that you basically underpay and poorly train and give no autonomy and no ability to make decisions, and you hide them behind all of these buttons and pushes, and you can never actually talk to anyone. So yeah, I don't understand. Well, I do understand. It's all bottom line. It's all money. It's all greed.
It is. And, look, I wish I had the article up, and I was supposed to have it up for today, but there's been a lot of information come out about companies who have whittled down their graphic design teams and cut it down to a few small people doing prompts, and it's actually turning out to be, well, who knew this was going to happen? It's turning out to be more time consuming and cost more money than actually having the graphic designers there doing the job, because there's so much unpredictability with AI generation that you can become a prompt expert, but it doesn't guarantee that a prompt is going to give you something that you want. And you are going to have to reiterate and reiterate and reiterate, no matter how good you get at prompts. Just talking about prompts for a moment, oh my God, there are people now who are starting to adopt the word prompt into like things like, well, today we have a whole bunch of prompts. Just say a class at a university, and they're like, today's prompts are, instead of like today's what we're doing, they're using that word as like tasks, and it's like, oh my God, where are we heading? They're not prompts; they're things to do. To-do list.
Yeah. I mean, I hate. I know that the language is supposed to evolve and stuff, but yeah, I really despise some of the words that are infiltrating the world. But I know we're talking about video. We're not quite onto video yet, but on the topic of like replacing things,
We can go there now.
There was a if you haven't caught it, there's a Toys R Us video. So Toys R Us actually still exists. They went into liquidation, and there's a few Toys R Us stores, and they're being run very cheaply over in the US at the moment. They did a video, and they were like, "This is proudly made by," and I forget the name. I don't know any of these video creating AI platforms. They're like, "This was made just by this," and then you read on. And you read the article, it's like, yeah, and our team of 15 people that just had to tweak it just a little bit to make it work. So it's like, yeah, it's all completely automated, except we did this, and then we did this, and then we did this, and this, and this, and this, and then we stitched this together, and then we added this, and then we did this. So it's not like they said make a 2-minute video about Toys R Us. They had probably had 7 prompt engineers working for 24 hours a day to make it actually what it ended up being. So it's not the magic button that we all think. It's not the George Jetson, oh, my finger is so sore from pushing my prompt button all day. It's still much harder than that to actually get something good.
Absolutely. And this week on the channel, if you didn't see it, go back and have a look. I took a look at Luma Labs Dream Machine, and boy, was that an eye-opening thing. Look at some of the great videos we got out of this. What the fuck is that? It was an absolute mess. Nearly everything I made turned out to be absolute garbage. But it was funny. That's the thing. It was hilarious. And what I got out of it was, I'm working on some music at the moment, which I haven't announced, and I'm not going to. I'm just going to release it and not tell anyone. And now I just have. But I'm going to release a video clip for this, and I'm just going to try with my 80 prompts that I have left for the ludicrous price of $46 a month for video, and I'm going to try to make as much fucked up, weird stuff that doesn't make sense, old people turning into cups and just try and get as many artifacts, and put all that into a video clip, because it's actually funny how bad it is. I get more pleasure out of the bad stuff that's coming out of it than the good stuff.
Yep. Yeah, it's and I think that's a good thing. Not a good thing. Well, it is a good thing. But yeah, if you just want to make a music video that looks like a fever dream, then that's good. And I mean, I did that when I had Patrick on the show recently. I did a thing, and I asked an AI image generator to say 2 old white men with beards talking about something boring, and it just gave me this wonderful picture that I used as my thumbnail. So it does well. We're looking. Oh Jesus, what's happened to that man?
The camel turned into a man with 2 weird legs. See, but this is the stuff. This was wild. We were killing ourselves laughing at some of the stuff that. Look at this picture of me with a slug lip. Look what it did to my. It put. What is happening? what is going on?
I walked past one of those facial places the other day, and there was a lady that walked out that looked just like that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Since doing that show, I found this amazing Facebook group called Cursed AI. I think Gary Hubb sent it to me, and it's just full of bad videos that have been made. So what you're looking at there, if you don't know, this is Luma Labs. It's a dream, so you can put in your own video. You put in your own photo, and it generates. It's terrible. Most of it comes out horrible. Look what it did to Gary Hubbs. It turned him into some other man eating spaghetti, and he's someone else. In one of the videos, Russ turned into a black man. And so, it's highly unpredictable. It doesn't work very well, but I think that's the fun of it. But the pricing, if you have a look, this is where we're heading next. Look at this, $29 US a month. Premiere, $499 a month. This stuff is ludicrous. And again, these guys haven't been, there hasn't been any discovery on this. Where are they where's it all coming from? Like, this is the thing. Where is it all coming from? We're going to talk about that next because we're going to move to music. Let's move to music. So on this channel, I've covered a show on Suno and Udio, and during that show, I basically showed you where they're scraping it from. You wanted to know and worked it out. And since then, other people have done videos showing how they got it from, how they've been doing it as well. And that has been scraping tags from a website called Rate Your Music is just one of them. Is that what it's called? Rate Your Music? Yeah, here it is.
I think so.
Rate Your Music, and that's the Wikipedia of it. But you can go, here it is, rateyourmusic.com. This website's been around forever and a day, back in mp3.com days. And you can
just very MySpace.
it is. It's very, very. And you can type in here. You can do a search, and you can do something like Slayer, right? And it'll find Slayer. You can pick a song. So there's the band Slayer. We choose that, and all you need to do is just grab. So if we go Rain in Blood, pick the album, and all you need to do is copy these tags here. Copy these, put it in. We can do it now. Why not? Why not just do it now and let it go in the background? Copy those tags, bung them into, do I have it here? Yes, I've got Udio set up. That's not Udio, Suno Udio. And you go in, you set a prompt, you paste them in, and you hit create and let it do its stuff, and it'll start creating tracks. And you can do this with any artist from that site, and it basically will create the exact thing. So a bunch of us worked it out, how they're scraping it. Now, how they would do that is, let's talk about the way music is trained. So the music is trained by taking copyrighted material, and they've come out and said, we're getting it free from the internet. That was unbelievable that they admitted that. Free from the internet. It gets put into these training and chopped up into tiny little bit-sized pieces with all these keywords attached to it. So whenever you put in a prompt, it looks for these keywords and tries to piece together parts of the songs with guitars and drums. But the main problem is it's the vocals that are causing all the hoo-ha. Have you used Udio and Suno, Pete?
I used one of them. I think I used Suno. I don't think I've played with Udio. I used them for a little bit. I used them and went, this is cool. This is fun. This is not replacing anything. One thing I did do is a couple of shows, when it first came out, a couple of my live shows, I just put a little theme together. So I think I did a GarageBand Weekly theme song that's like in a funky style and an R&B style, and it did a kind of cool groove about GarageBand Weekly, and it is fun. And I've since heard a lot of other live streams that are doing similar things, and I'm like, now I'm a little bit concerned because all these people that have put all this stuff in there, if they find a way to grab all of these styles and somehow copyright claim them in YouTube, that could be a whole nother shitstorm around the corner. But we'll worry about that when it comes. But yeah, I think that they're very clever. They're very cool, and I think the technology is awesome. And not to jump ahead because I keep doing that, but I think the record labels would love to have this technology to be officially licensed so that they can charge people to use this, so that you can make your own Beyonce sound alike. I don't think. This is the thing. This isn't coming from a place of, we want to protect the creators and the artists, and isn't it terrible how they're exploiting the artists? They're like, that's our money. Get your hands off our money. We want that money. You can't have our money. Stop stealing our stuff and taking our money. So it depends on the lens you put across it. But I don't think for a second that the RIAA and the audio companies, I was listening to a podcast, one of the This Week in Tech podcasts, and there was a guy on there that said, I want this to end like Reservoir Dogs, where at the end they're all just pointing a gun at each other and they all fire at the same time and they all fucking fall over. Because the RIAA, the record labels themselves, and these startups that are just coming out and stealing people's stuff to make things, they're all kind of doing the wrong thing. They're all bad in different ways. No one is actually right or better than anyone else in this fight, in my opinion. You can disagree with me, and in fact, I hope you do.
No, we are still dog shit on the shoe of the corporations, no matter what, all this stuff. So we've generated these. It's given us 2 tracks. Let's hit one. See, does it sound like Slayer? Let's have a listen. The music does. Let's hear the other one.
Screams and fire comes from your soul in every step. You stand in the dark, yeah, this swallows noise.
Yeah, look, it's that second one definitely got Tom Araya's voice in there. They got busted. So here's the thing. Let's talk about the pricing of this, because here's the major thing with all these things. They cost a lot, and this is unregulated. They're making so much money from it. And it's here we go, pricing. So Udio now is sitting at Pro Plan, $30 a month. So people signing up with Pro plans, standard plans, or free plans, you can purchase credits, all this stuff. This is all not being regulated, and they're just making all this money from scraping all this data. And the record labels are looking at this going, well, hang on a minute. We want money out of this too. Surely they're doing that. So it was predicted on my show when I covered this that there would be a lawsuit coming, and this week it happened. And this is kind of unprecedented. 3 major record labels came together.
Yeah, when Sony and Universal and they're coming together and doing things, and Warner, they traditionally hate each other and think that they're all evil and are stealing each other's stuff. So for them to come together and collectively sue people, you know that they're desperate. So, yeah.
So 2 claims have been filed. The one against Udio is in New York, because that's where they're based. And the one against Suno is in Massachusetts, in Boston, because that's where they are based. And I'm going to focus today on the Udio one. They're pretty much the same, the documents here. So we've got UMG, Capitol Records, Sony, Arista, all their subsidiaries, Rhino Entertainment, Warner Music. So all the subsidiaries are involved in it here. I've highlighted a whole bunch of things that we can go through, the important stuff. Most fundamentally, AI companies, like all enterprises, must abide by the laws that protect human creativity and ingenuity. There is nothing that exempts AI technology from copyright law or excuses AI companies from playing by the rules. The lawsuit seeks to enforce these basic principles. This case concerns generative AI, which allows users to generate digital music files that sound like human sound recordings in response to basic inputs. The capacity for generative AI to produce convincing imitations of genuine sound recordings starts with copying a vast range of sound recordings with machine-generated content that will directly compete, cheapen, and ultimately drown out the genuine sound recordings on which the service is built. Now that sounds okay. That sounds like they care there.
It sounds like it was very well scrapped. Imagine if that was actually created by ChatGPT. The irony of that they just wrote it down and they said, ChatGPT, clean this up and make it sound like we're not evil corporate overlords and we actually care about artists. And it's like, okay, and it softens the language for them. Yeah, it's such a weird one, because I don't think that if something new comes along, the defense is, but it's different, but it's not the way we've always done it. But what about the humans that are doing this? And I would actually agree with that if it was doing it better, if it was actually good enough to do it better. But I just don't think, like you say, I don't think it actually has the soul of it. I think it has purpose. I think in terms of being able to just create something out of nothing, if you're not a creator and you want to pay for it. But I don't know. Again, my butt hurts from sitting on the fence so hard, because I get it. I understand that it's impacting people. And as a musician and an artist, I'm a little bit offended by this sort of stuff, because it does. There's a feeling of attempted replacement there. But at the same time, it's amazing and cool technology. So I think it's already there. And this is going to be a whack-a-mole game, because This stuff, just like it did with Napster, it'll just go underground. The same, all this stuff someone's furiously backing up all of the algorithms and all the data sets onto flash drives and cementing them in their walls so that when discovery happens on these lawsuits, that they're going to have all this stuff. They're then just going to push it underground. It's going to be on the dark web. People are still going to be using it and it'll still exist. So yeah, you can do this and you can sue them and you can destroy them and you can go, yay, we won. Not going away, not changing. People like this stuff. It wouldn't be if people didn't like it, it wouldn't be popular, and if it wasn't popular, they wouldn't bother suing them. So there is definitely a desire at the moment for people to use the service, so they can try and kill it, but they're just going to wound it and it's going to stumble into the woods and then come back as probably an even eviler creature.
They say Udio's service trains on the expressive features of these copyrighted sound recordings for ultimate purpose of poaching the listeners, fans, and potential licensors of the sound recordings. Now, for those of you who don't know how, like, I've been involved in this kind of stuff, I got sued for defamation at one point when I was a journalist, and it was a terrible situation. Can't go into it, of course, because I plea dealed. And our whole company got done by a... Anyway, so when this kind of thing happens, before the suit gets drawn, there is back and forth between lawyers and their lawyers, and all this stuff goes back and forward. And unfortunately, this is where you need to be your most careful if you're Suno or Udio and not like give up your hand too early. Unfortunately, they fucked up and they basically said this. I think I have it here. When plaintiffs directly accused Udio of copying plaintiff sound recordings to train its model, Udio did not deny or proffer any facts to undermine these allegations. It would have been simple for Udio to say that it used other legally acquired recordings if that were the case. Instead, Udio deflected and disingenuously asserted that its training data is competitively sensitive and constitutes trade secrets, despite being based in publicly available music out there for music fans. Udio also claimed that its large-scale copying of sound recordings is fair use, which is telling because fair use only arises in the defense of otherwise unauthorized use of copyrighted works. Ouch. So they basically said they've been getting their music from the internet, which is Spotify, YouTube, because remember, when you release music through someone like DistroKid or whoever you release your music through, not only does it go to, all the streaming services and the YouTube Music app, it goes on YouTube absolutely free of cost, and you don't need to buy anything. You can just scrape to your heart's content, and that's where it looks like they are getting the music from.
Yeah. And it's we've seen. I mean, there's already been some lawsuits around the text side of this and the image side of this. What's the big stock image place? The one that does all the clips. They've come out and said, "Hey, we found our watermark in actual AI generated images. So you're clearly using our stuff without our permission." Sarah Silverman sued ChatGPT because she said you can get a summary of her book by just putting it in there, and it basically pulls out entire excerpts. So she's like, your AI clearly read my book. And now we're getting to the point where it's like, well, your AI clearly listened to my song. And it is interesting because the difference here is that if a human did all these things, it's okay. You can obviously write a synopsis of Sarah Silverman's book. You can obviously do a painting that looks just like a Dali, and then that's actually okay because you're inspired by that person. And I can make a song that sounds as much like Foo Fighters as my talent allows me to because I love Dave Grohl and Foo Fighters. But I don't have the ability to ingest every Foo Fighters track, every nuance, every chord structure, every sound of every Foo Fighters track, and then produce a song that sounds eerily like Foo Fighters, but not quite like Foo Fighters. And it's the same with this stuff. And it's, I know we'll talk fair use in a moment, but funnily enough, I just asked, I've got a free trial of Gemini. By the way, if you're a YouTube Premium customer, you'll probably see a little free trial of YouTube's Premium Gemini features for 90 days, which I'm on at the moment. And I asked them about this because Mark in the chat said, you should ask AI, you should ask what this does. And it said, yeah, data collection, they gather a massive data set of music recordings, often various genres, blah, blah, blah. And then I asked it, is the training data copyrighted music? And it's like, the legality of using copyrighted music for training AI models is a complex and evolving issue. It's like, yes, Gemini, because you use copyrighted data to train
Yes.
your model. So you have to say that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm like most things like this, because I'm a fence sitter. I don't think it's going to go all one way or the other. I'm not entirely on one side or the other, but I'm going to be sitting back with my popcorn because I'm actually
Oh, yeah.
fascinated as to how this thing's going to actually play out and what that actually means. And my main hope is that everyone again, I don't want anyone to be actually legitimately shot. Please, don't take that out of context. But I hope that this wounds all the people that want to do the wrong thing. If we as creators can sit back and do nothing different and not be damaged, I think if anything, this is going to damage the AI bros that are trying to create these companies and profit from this technology. It's going to damage the RIAA because they're going to look like the bad guys in some people's eyes. And hopefully it damages the big three record companies because, again, if you don't know the record company model and the recording model, it's terrible.
Always has been.
It always has been and probably always will be. They don't care about their artists at all. They just want to take 100 shots and hope that one comes good. So you end up with 99 artists who get nothing or are in debt to the label and one artist who makes a decent amount, but the label just scrapes off as much as they legally and possibly can. So it's not good, but it will be interesting to see how it all comes out.
And it goes on. I'm obviously not going to go through all 41 pages of this, but just some highlights.
Please do. This is all this legal documentation. It's getting me very, very excited.
I'm a little bit wet. Udio has raised now. Here's the telling part of the RIA. Udio has raised millions of dollars in funding, touts a roster of high-profile backers, so they're also getting money as well. So is Suno and so is ChatGPT. Got all these backers that are investing millions, and has monetized its servers, charging users up to $30 per month for its highest subscription tier. None of that would be possible without the vast troves of copyrighted sound recordings that Udio copied to train its model. Udio cannot avoid liability for its willful copyright infringement by claiming fair use. The doctrine of fair use promotes human expression by permitting the unlicensed use of copyrighted works in certain limited circumstances. But Udio offers imitative, is that how you say? Yeah, machine-generated music, not human creativity or expression. Now, fair use is fair, none of which favors Udio's product. These factors are the purpose and character of the use, the nature of the copyrighted work, the amount of substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole, the effect of the use upon the potential market for all value of copyrighted work. But the thing is, fair use is something that is used for court. Fair use is a defense, and it is used in places of parody, review, critique. It is not generating fucking music. And as Thomas Christ says here, and this is absolutely right, if sampling isn't considered fair use, then this isn't either. And they don't have a leg to stand on. I think, as you said, and I think where this is going to be kind of exciting and then die is after Discovery. Discovery is going to be the time when we're going to find out exactly how they're getting this stuff, how AI is actually generating all this stuff. We're going to see, is it just like a song splitter where it gets all the songs, splits it up into drums? Is that how it all works to put all this stuff together? That's the really exciting stuff. I can't wait to see what happens there.
Yeah, and for those that are waiting for a big court battle that's going to go all the way up to the Supreme Court and we get a ruling on AI stuff, it's simply not going to happen. Discovery process is what scares people like our mate Elon from actually going through with all the different things and all the different people he threatens to sue, because it basically exposes and discovers, because it's why it's called Discovery, all of the black spots on both sides. So I would imagine that neither, especially Udio and Suno, want to actually go into the courtroom. So through the discovery process, unless they're shredding like their lives depend on it right now, which I mean,
They are, for
again,
sure.
not a lawyer, and please, this is for entertainment purpose only, but yes, wouldn't be surprising. Then yeah, and I mean, the things that also to consider is that they have raised some money and they've publicly
Yes.
raised a lot of money. So again, the irony of this is beautiful. So I'm using Gemini now to ask about how Suno and Udio raise money. But did you have the information there? But yeah, so Suno secured $25 million in
Yes.
venture capital in May of this year,
Yes,
the
May.
largest investment ever in a music AI startup. And investors include capital from Matrix Partners, an early investor in Suno, and then the other one, Udio. And Andreessen Horowitz, who are a big venture capital, so they're behind like Airbnb and places. Common, who's a rapper apparently, I don't
Yes.
know. But Mike Krieger, the Instagram co-founder, is part of it, and Will.i.am,
Mhm.
Will.i.am, Mr. Black Eyed Peas himself. So
And all of us
there's lots of
suckers paying
names.
$30 a month.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
so it goes on here. Hello, Leela, as well, and anyone I've missed in the chat. This is very boring legalese today.
I love it.
I'm so excited about it. So here's what they say. They're saying that Udio are doing on information and belief similar to other generative AI models. Udio trains its AI model to produce audio output by generally taking the following steps. A. Udio first copies massive numbers of sound recordings, including by scraping, copying, downloading from digital services. This vast collection of information forms the input or corpus upon which the Udio AI model is trained. B. Udio then cleans the copied recordings to remove any material, whether technical or substantive, there we go, that it does not wish to include in its AI model. For instance, duplicate or low quality data. This step may also involve copying the recordings to convert them into common digital audio format. Udio then processes the corpus of previously copied recordings to establish the values of the parameters that form the AI model. This step includes additional copying of the recordings, including into computer memory, as they are further converted into individual units, and those units are processed. Udio next processes the data further to fine-tune its AI model, which may require additional copying of the collected sound recordings. They pretty much know. And you know what? Here's the thing. The labels already know how they're doing it because the labels, as we're going to find out soon, are already in cahoots with other tech bros like Microsoft and everybody else.
That's our money. We want our money. You can't have our money. Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm going to skip through some of this because they've got so much evidence in this. It's ridiculous. So they've taken like this My Girl by the Temptations, and they basically they've gone and scraped the data to rate my song or whatever it is, rate my music, rate the music. And they've got the song, then put out the music, and then they've gone in and put on these prompts and put the exact same lyrics in, and it's match for match. It's just the examples they have here are so ridiculous. They have them by the balls. There's no way for them to get through it. Now, what are they asking through? Oh, and let's just cover this. So here in this Exhibit C, now I have obtained the full list of songs that they are suing for. They are asking $150,000 per song. And these are the examples they've given here. So this is the prompt for Billie Holiday for Ain't No Sunshine, a sad and depressing song in the style of Billie Holiday about a whittling rose, a jazz blues atmospheric in the style of Billie Holiday, binaural. And when you click the link, which I can't do it at this, oh yeah, here we go, and you go and check it out, track not found. They have been cleaning the halls.
Fire cleans everything.
Everything is gone. So not only is there these huge lists, so this is just a small list. They have submitted, if we just close this out, just give me a sec here. And I hate using the Files app for this. Why won't it let me kill this? Oh, there we go.
Come on, iPad OS.
So they have given us the entire list of songs. I think it's this one. So this is everything that they're suing for so far. And these are all the artists and every song. And if I just swipe, $150,000 for every one of these tracks. And that's not everything. So that's 78 pages. And you can see Natalie Imbruglia, Hank Snow as we go through. So every song from these artists. And they all have, they've tested all of these. So they have evidence for all of these. They've been sitting there just generating all these tracks for all these artists, Frank Sinatra. And, you know, we've all heard the Frank Sinatra clones, John Lennon, the Beatles. These guys are fucked.
Yeah, I'd love to give more positive view on this, but no, it's open and shut, and yeah, that they've done exactly. They basically came out, and this is the whole result of the, what is it, like go fast and break things model of, you know, don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. And guess what? Guess who doesn't forgive easily? Giant, rich multinational corporations are not going to forgive you if you try and rip off their stuff. So, and look, there's not going to be, if you calculate that out and you're like, oh my God, they're going to have to pay $1,012,000,000. It's not going to reach that, but these lawsuits always put ridiculous amounts. Like, remember back in the old Napster days, the people that got sued and fined over that, they got bills for like $100K per song and eventually settled for like 20 grand. So it's not going to be that, but it's going to be hefty, and they're going to
go out of business.
It'll likely put these out of business. And you know what? The venture capital firms that funded these things will go, oh, well, 25 mil, that's a piss in the ocean. We'll try again next time. So it's not going to change anything. It's not going to be like, oh my God, we'll never do anything dodgy again. They're going to go, oh, well, you know, we had 10 different projects this year. That one thing that was 25 mil didn't quite work out. Oh, well, and all the people will go off and like, what startup do I go to now to muckrake and cause some trouble and shift some paradigms? So yeah, it's not going to, again, it's not going to be the end, because someone somewhere's got all this data. And despite the discovery, they'll be told, yeah, you have to delete all this and never use it again. Yeah, it's not going to happen. That's not how things work.
This is one of the tracks that is still up there. So this is apparently Last Christmas, and they've put in all the prompts here. And it's come back with Holiday Heartache.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day,
wow.
you gave it away.
Yeah. Wow. There you go. You can't deny it.
Don't play any more than that.
No,
I'm
not.
so close to the original that you're going to get a copyright claim on that.
And that's what's happening now. That's what's happening. People are putting in these songs and they're starting to get copyright claims on the AI generated stuff. And they're now going to Udio and saying, hang on a minute, you said if I paid $30 a month, I wouldn't get done by this because this is my own. Well, guess what? Let's cover this before we move on, because things aren't what they seem, my friends, and you need to always read the terms and conditions, and not enough people have with this. Let me just bring it up, because let's scooch over to Udio's terms and conditions here. And I'm sure we are number 2. Here we are. So these are the terms and conditions, and now Udio released recently a new feature where you can upload your own music, and it will take your music and it will generate further from that and give you an extension of your music. But what a lot of people didn't read is this: in order to operate the services, we may need to obtain from you license rights to your content, so that actions we take in operating the services are not considered legal violations. Accordingly, by using the services and uploading your content, you grant us and our affiliates, successors, assigns, and designees a license to access, use, host, cache, store, reproduce, transmit, display, publish, distribute, stick it up your ass, everything they want, and modify your content to distribute output based on your input content, and train or otherwise improve or modify our artificial intelligence and machine learning models related to the services. For clarity, this grant of rights includes the grant of all rights necessary for company and our affiliate successors, blah, 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 all the rest of them, to distribute your shit. And nobody paid any attention to this, and everybody just saw, Now I can upload my own stuff, and I can get ideas on top of that. And now people's music already is that they're uploading is starting to come back to other people.
Gonna be well. See, that's good. They're on the front foot because once they can't use any copyrighted content anymore, they've already got a bank of people that have uploaded their own music, and the Udio Part 2 can just run off of all of that data that they've got the legal right to use. So smart.
And the good news is you pay $30 to give them the right to take your music and use it for their benefit.
Yeah, it's like paying for the Twitter premium tickets. Like, you know how Twitter's shit and everyone hates it and you're basically a neo-Nazi if you use it? Well, guess what? You pay more, we can put your stuff out to more fellow neo-Nazis. Anyway, sorry.
Now, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I did say all this. I did say it when I looked at, all these things. And I really wanted to do this today to just cover it and say, yes, what I told you is happening is happening. So
and I think it's the old adage, isn't it? It's the caveat emptor, it's the buyer beware. If it's too good to be true, it is.
Yep.
And the amount of times where I heard people, saying when this first started coming out, like because this went mainstream. Like my daughter, her teacher was showing her this in the classroom. She's like, "Wow, this is amazing!" And my daughter, who's like 13, said, "I don't know how they're allowed to do this, Dad." And I'm like, "Don't worry, love. They won't be for long because it does. It feels wrong. If it feels wrong to a third, that should be the test for these hedge funds and venture capitalists. If it feels wrong to a 13-year-old, don't do it because you're gonna get screwed, and then you're gonna have to shred all the documents, and fire will cleanse."
Well, Pete, let's finish off this because the plot thickens, my friends. And if you're if you're sitting there thinking at the moment, I could have gone through all the legal documents. There's so much. If you want to go and get those documents, I'll put a link in the description at the end of the show so you can download the zip file and read all the court documents if you're into that kind of stuff like I am. I'll tell you what, Pete, I was loving it yesterday with my little yellow marker out, reading it all, getting all excited. But then did you
upload it? Did you put it onto Form Hub? Oh!
But then I came across this. So, the end is nigh. Top record labels are reportedly creating AI-generated music. Google and Universal Music could soon be licensing voices and melodies from artificial music. The plot sickens, my friends, because behind closed doors, the record labels are taking a look at all their own artists that they already have under their little banner there, and they are going to recreate their voices and start licensing them to us so we can then use them over Udio and Suno. And this is where the big money's going to happen. Several AI-generated tracks went viral earlier this year with one of the most famous songs mimicking the voices of Drake and The Weeknd, Heart on My Sleeve. It was streamed 600,000 times on Spotify prior to its removal and was followed up by a statement by the Universal Music Group, which basically they said, this is terrible, we don't want this thing to happen, but how can we make money from it?
Yeah. It's back to my original statement, which is that's not, you can't have our money, that's our money. We want to make the money. Yeah, it's kind of hilarious, and that's why they have to be a little bit careful through this whole suing side. And if you read the documentation really carefully and closely, they say that it's very focused around you illegally using our stuff. They don't have any problem with AI generated music. They haven't said it's immoral, it's bad, it shouldn't happen. They're just saying you can't do it with our copyrighted material.
It's all about copying. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas if they are saying this, and funnily enough, again, I love doing this now. I forgot that I had this Gemini trial, but I've said to Gemini, which is, by the way, owned by Google, are Google working with Universal Music on AI generated music? Yes. Google and Universal Group are reportedly in talks to develop a tool for creating AI generated music. And it talks about the whole deep fake songs and things that are driving it. And they're like, yeah, well, we don't want that. And then they're like, what? How many million streams on Spotify? Okay, we do want that. We just want to do that ourselves. So, yeah, forget your Fred Astaire dancing with a vacuum cleaner stuff that we had in the past. It's going to be who are our three most popular? What, Drake, The Weeknd featuring Taylor Swift? Yeah, sure. Yeah. That's going to happen because that's just what they want to do, and they'll bring these together, and you'll immediately have these amazing collaborations between all of your favorite UMG artists.
I've gone past the ad. Let's run the ad. Have a little bit of a break for a second.
Yeah.
You can avoid the ad by skipping or just becoming a YouTube Premium member. Now, the reason I've done it
But you'll
right
miss me
now.
dance.
Yep, Pete's dancing, rocking away, and having a good old time there. I can tell you what's coming up on the shows. What's coming up? I can't remember. Tomorrow. Oops. We're looking at this. Jan May's got a couple of apps out. That's really cool. Let's come back to Pete dancing. We can't miss Pete dancing. I've also set up to do a original opening hour this week. So if my voice is good, if I'm still okay, if I'm still healthy. And this week on the rant, we are talking about mastering. And also, don't forget that this week, before the rant, is Walk With Me and Come and Watch Me Feed Kangaroos. It is amazing. It's one of the best Walk With Me's I've done. All right, now that we're back, everyone's back. If you've been served an ad, let's just confirm the last thing, because a day after the major record labels sued Udio and Suno, well, guess what happened, Jerry Gomes, who's just joined the chat? YouTube seeking deals with top record labels for AI song generation tools. Report below. This is news today. YouTube has initiated discussions with major record labels like Sony, Warner, and Universal to license their songs for creating new artificial intelligence-based song generator, according to a report from the Financial Times. Now, this began in 2023. Here, in 2023, YouTube began testing the Dream Track for YouTube Shorts, enabling a group of US creators to create 30-second soundtracks based on text prompts for their shorts. And it looks like this is one of the reasons another compiled reason of why they are taking out Suno and Udio so they can have this exclusive right. So man, at the end of the day, the record labels just have us all by the virtual balls.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit sad, and look, it's interesting because this is where I think that a lot of creators could be. If I was you, if you are a YouTube Shorts creator and you're relying on YouTube Shorts for your income or for your livelihood or for generating stuff, and you have a bunch of AI music in all of your shorts because you thought, hey, free music, AI music, I'd be considering removing some of that right about now, because as soon as this new Dream Track feature, so apparently some of the participating artists include Alec Benjamin, never heard of him, Charlie Puth, think I've heard of him, Charlie X something something, Demi Lovato, John Legend, Papoose, Sia, T-Pain, Troy,
Papoose.
Papoose. Oh no. Yeah.
What kind of a name is that?
As long as there's no Playboy Cardi.
I am Papoose.
Playboy Cardi is my favorite. Like, the children know, my children, because I'm just like, he doesn't sing. He doesn't open his mouth when he sings, and he sings half words, and he's auto-tuned, and he just sounds awful. Anyway, but yeah, I think they're going to incorporate this, and are they going to go back and be a little bit vindictive about it and remove anything that they deem? Because remember, they don't have to have proof. They can just think it's AI, and they can remove it based on the fact that they think it was generated by Suno and Udio. And let's be honest, it's pretty obvious. You heard it at the start of the show. You can generally hear these things that are AI created. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a crackdown, either forward facing. If YouTube are nice, what they might do is say, from now on, if you use anything but our Dream Track feature, once they actually publicly release it, then that's probably more likely. But they may just say, hey, we're going back in time. We're going to find all of these Udio and Suno created tracks, and we're going to flag them and bring them down, or copyright claim. If they can't copyright claim them, they just have to flag them as misuse or something. So, yeah.
Well, I expect this. Look, it can either go two ways. And thank you, Rainfield Music, for becoming a member as well. Oops. I think what they're going to do with this, there's either two paths they can go. So I know there's a lot of people who are creating shorts primarily, and they are suffering because they want to put music to it, and they're getting claims. So that's buying into the minimal amount of money that people are getting from shorts. And it's great that you have the option to add commercial music to that. But here, they either are going to add this feature of this AI music that you can make kind of similar to the music that YouTube provides, the non-copyrighted stuff that you can see in your creator thing, in your creator studio. And they're going to add this, and you won't get copyright. Or they're going to have a set fee and say, if you'd like to use this, then we're going to take 1 cent from each of your videos or like that's either way they're going to go. But it definitely is timing, isn't it? Like the day after the lawsuit hits, here's YouTube going, oh yeah, we're going to do this. So it's
yeah, I know it's. I'm sorry that this is kind of depressing for folks that are artists, but I guess the way I look at this is that what does this change for independent music creators?
yeah.
Virtually nothing. So it's why I've always said, and look, if you're signing with a record label, you may not even know if you're signing with a little record label. It's often these days there's very few independent record labels left. Most of them are subsidiaries of one of the big three. So you may actually be caught up in all of this. And this is why I say don't not have the goal of becoming signed by a record label, but very carefully consider, given that it's not impossible to become a successful and profitable artist when you sign with a label, but it is very, very difficult. It's like it's down in the 0.01% of artists that are signed with labels that actually make a living wage, which, makes sense. It's the same with if you play soccer like that. And Spotify famously used this analogy. They're like, hey, you want to be a professional musician? Well, only 0.1% of all soccer players are professional soccer players and actually make money from it. And it's like, yeah, but guess what? Music's different, because if you're independent and you release your own music and you stick it on Bandcamp and you release it through DistroKid, you can just choose to make money. If anyone wants to pay you for your music, it goes to you. And yeah, the platforms will take their 30% cuts and whatnot. But that's better than signing a record label deal, which always sounds better than it ends up being, and then actually owing money. So the amount of art, especially through the 80s, 90s, 2000s, there's story after story. There's really sad stories of famous, very famous artists and bands that you'd be like, wow, they must be rolling in it now. And the reason that they're still doing these tours around the country, playing little small pokey country towns, is that they got absolutely shafted and they ended up owing money to their record label despite selling millions and millions of albums in the 90s, 2000s and beyond. So yeah, record labels are not... Well, I don't think anyone's sitting there going, record labels are really good. I can't wait to sign with a record label. But maybe some people are. And if that's what you're thinking, consider staying independent, because you have control over not only your distribution and your music getting out there, but your masters and your songwriting. And that's the sort of stuff that a lot of these artists don't own anymore. And hey, and we've even seen, who was it the other day? Springsteen sold his entire masters off for like $30 million. And he's just like, hey, I'm freaking 70. I'm cashing in. I see the direction it's going. I see that we're getting shafted. I'm not selling physical media anymore. Spotify are paying me 0.01 cents per stream. I'm not making money from that. So it could be someone else's problem. I'm taking my $30 million nest egg and pissing off. So yeah, it's an interesting time for music, but I think it's actually as good as it's been for the last 10 years for independent creators.
This is not about fear, folks. So, I will not close today's show in fear because, it's business as usual. But just be aware, too, that when you release your music through digital distribution, it gets on Spotify, you are kind of, long form, kind of, sort of twisted way signed to Universal, Sony, and because let's just ask ChatGPT, who says several major record labels have invested in Spotify over the years. Some of the key investors from the music industry include Universal, Sony, and Warner. So there's that. And Apple would be in the exact same place too whenever Apple does a keynote and they say, hey, we've added this new thing to Apple Music and here's an artist that we're going to come on stage and talk about it. Well, guess what? They're from the record labels as well too. That's all in cahoots. So it is all still inbred and tied together, and essentially your music could be used in these things as well to some degree.
Yes, and that every time I think about it, and again, not to be fearmongery or say, hey, everything's screwed, but yeah, I'm an independent creator, yet I lean heavily on companies like Alphabet, Google, YouTube, who are my corporate daddies, and Amazon, who, if I didn't sell stuff through my affiliate links on Amazon, and if I didn't run ads through YouTube, which is a subsidiary of Google and Alphabet, $1 trillion companies, I wouldn't be able to be an independent creator. So you are only truly independent if you are not suckling at the teats of any of these platforms. And I suckle at many teats, and I try to make my peace with it. I don't love everything that everyone does, and I like that. I have not freedom of speech. Don't get confused, folks. It's freedom of speech is not what you think it is or what many people think it is. That's a government thing. That's nothing to do with it. But I have the freedom to be able to have my own opinions of things and have conversations like this, because it isn't always the way. It wasn't in the past, and maybe it won't be in the future, depending on what happens. I don't know. A couple of old men are arguing about something today that might factor into how that works in a certain country in the future. But I think that for an
if they
independent
remember
creator,
what they're talking about.
yeah, if they drink enough Mountain Dew before the interview and make sure that they know what they're saying. But yeah, I think that for us, yeah, we live in a capitalist world, so you have to do that. You have to run an ad here on YouTube so that you can buy food next week. And I have to recommend my Steinberg UI22C so that some people might buy that, and I can clothe my children next week. So yeah, I'm not saying that all corporation bad, all greedy. I'd be an absolute super mega hypocrite if I said that. I just wish that some of them would choose to be better. And I started with Apple, and I'll kind of bring it back. I know we haven't quite finished.
Oh no, we're going there next.
To bring it back around to Apple, it's I think that they are, at least for all the bad things you can say about Apple, about the EU stuff and things that they're not doing right in the world, they actually have a user focus, and they actually are trying to be carbon neutral. And whether they're trying to do that to look better and therefore get more profit, hey, I don't care about that. If a company wants to be as good as they possibly can to impress me and make me buy their stuff, great. Better than saying, hey, we suck and we're evil, but you're stuck with us, says Meta, because you want to keep using Facebook. So yeah. Apple Intelligence, eh?
AI for the rest of us, it says. For the rest of us. Now, here's the thing. We talked about this. AI should be there to help you. And look, when Apple discussed this on at WWDC, it was no shock to me. Absolutely. Machine learning has been their thing for a long time. They've had these chips. There's a good portion of their M series chips, even before M series, that have had this machine learning section in there. They have been doing this. But like Apple, and they're often criticized for this, that they don't release this stuff at the same time as everybody else. And yes, Samsung released these phones and they do these things that, 5 years later Apple do. Cut, copy, paste, for example.
An app store.
But at the end of the day, one of the things about Apple is what they have always done is the thought process of how can we take this thing that seems like, it can help people, and how can we actually make it help people? Like I remember watching, I forget which year it was, I think it was the iPhone 5 when they released that, and then I watched the Google release and they showed a whole bunch of Samsung things, and all the features in the cameras that they were showing were just like, and look, it does this, and look, it does this, but there was never one thing that said, and this is how it benefits you. It was just, here's a feature, throw it at the wall. Here's a feature, throw it at the wall. Here's a feature. And from what I learned a long time ago, you would know this too, and anybody who's worked in a corporate world, for me, working at American Express, every interaction that I would have with a card member from American Express was solve the problem and then leave them away, leave the call, the conversation with, did you know about this feature? And this is how it benefits you, because you had all their information in front of you. You had their spend. You knew how much they spent on electricity, gifts, where they shopped. You had everything on them. So you had to look at that while you were fixing their problem, get a readout of who they were, what they do, and then find a feature that would benefit them and then say, here's this thing, did you know? And this is how it will make your day better. If you are unable to demonstrate how a feature will make your life better, then it is not a fucking feature. And that is what Apple has always been good at. And they have done this with Apple Intelligence. Your thoughts?
Yeah, look, anyone that's worked in any sort of sales environments heard about, the features and benefits. And you always want to sell on the features and benefits. And that's the thing. If you just sell on the features without actually tapping into what the people you're selling to actually want, it's not going to land, because you're going to miss the point and you're going to be telling people about things that they don't actually want. And The thing is, we live in a very kind of little techno bubble here. Like a lot of the people that are watching this now are music people and technology people and have a lot more knowledge of this stuff than the average person on the street. So it's actually good to make sure you're talking with real people sometimes. So I've got my family here and I usually run things by them. And look, they're aware of things. My daughters know about ChatGPT because it helps kids cheat in high school when they've got assignments to do. So they're aware of that. And my oldest daughter's actually getting smarter with it. She's like, yeah, I know that they've got tools that they can detect it, so I don't get it to write my stuff. But of course, I put a prompt in there, and then it tells me stuff, and then I summarize that prompt. I'm like, yeah, that's just smart. That's just doing things the right way. But yeah, back to the Apple stuff. Selling it as not just here's a chatbot and you can ask it questions and it can tell you stuff. It's like, why do I need that? Well, it's interesting, sure, but why do I need that? And then the same with like your image generation. You can put in any prompt and it will generate an image for you. Why do I need that? What if you want an image of a monkey on a surfboard?
Yeah.
Why do I need that? So whereas Apple have said, you need better calendar integration. You need us to be able to work out where you're going and what you're doing so that we can actually suggest things that are going to help you. You need the S word to not suck quite as hard. They didn't say it like that, but that's what they meant. You need the ability to create your own little emoji things that are just a little bit fun. And interestingly, if you look at what Apple didn't do with this, they didn't say anything about chatbots. They didn't say anything about creating photorealistic images. They steered completely, they turned against the skid and went completely away from everything that every other company has got in trouble for, such as hallucinations. And they even admitted in a very un-Apple way, Tim Cook was interviewed about this sort of stuff, and someone said to him, what do you think about AI and hallucinations? And he said, yeah, AI isn't always 100% accurate, and we understand that, and we know that going in, which is why we're not putting it as the only fail-safe for critical stuff, because you don't want to 100% trust your AI. Like there's a difference between if it's driving directions and you completely trust AI and it drives you into a lake because your GPS told you to, that ain't good. But if AI just says, oh, here's a bit of information about some restaurants, and then you find out that one restaurant's closed because it hadn't updated the model, well, yeah, that's not actually going to change anyone's life unless you are really looking forward to that pad thai. So I think Apple have done it really smart because they've said, here's all the things that everyone else got in trouble with. Let's sit back and watch. They're like the kid at the front of the classroom that's just watching all the other kids get in trouble and then sees that the teacher's stressed out and then just provides exactly what the teacher wants, which is a delicious apple, as we all know. So there you go. Like that analogy, because I've drawn it all the way back to Apple.
Yeah. And you know what? They steered clear of prompts, of prompting. And here's the thing, again, it goes back to what I was talking about working at American Express. That customer comes through, all their information is populated for you to just see what Apple integrating all of the information that is on your phone, all of the things that you do, and it is the Apple Intelligence is sifting through that stuff and going, okay, let's work it out. This is the data sets, this is the stuff, and it's giving you relevant information to who you are, and that is the most important thing. And AI, that is, again, going back to the start, I want C-3PO, man. I want R2-D2. I want them to help me get to places. I want to, when I'm out filming Walk With Me and I'm desperately searching Google to find the next place that I'm going to, I want it to know that I'm out there filming Walk With Me. I want it to know that this is what I'm doing, that I'm counting my steps at the same time, and time is precious, and that's what it's going to do, hopefully.
Yeah, and again, because I spent a lot of years in customer service and customer experience looking at this sort of thing in terms of solving problems for customers and doing the best you can. There's a concept called NBA, next best action, which is used in customer experience a lot, which is what is the next best action for this customer? And that is basically interpreting all of the data in front of you and then proposing the one thing that, based on previous things and based on similar people in similar situations with similar sets of data, wanted to do. And if AI did nothing but that for me, so I'm going out for brunch with my wife after this, and my data knows that because it's in my calendar. It says, have brunch with Georgie. If I finish this interview and pick up my phone and it says, hey, did you know that there's this cafe that's doing a $20 brunch special just down the road? Based on your previous cafes you visited, we think you'll really dig it. I would be all over that. I want
Fuck
that. And I
you.
want it to all be on my device. I want it to all be secure. But yeah, if it needs to go out to the internet to find little bits of that, and here's the other thing that Apple did really well, all anonymized. So everyone that's really worried about signing in with Google, signing in with ChatGPT, having accounts and your data going back and forth, they've in a very Apple way said, nah, if it has to go out and we have to, if Apple can't solve it, step one, it uses a private cloud. So it goes just within the Apple ecosystem and goes to an Apple server and then pops back to you, anonymized, not linked to your account. And if it has to go to ChatGPT, who they've partnered with, it doesn't know you. So it just says a person in the Adelaide area wants to find a good cafe for brunch, and then it sends me back the stuff. But it doesn't, ChatGPT doesn't then know that, but Apple does. The first party data is there. And I think this is the difference. I think people worry about data security and data privacy, and they should.
Yep.
But the big problem is third party data privacy and security. So that is companies that will sell your data to data brokers, and that is companies that will use your data nefariously to do things that you don't want them to do. If it's first party data and you trust them, and this is where Apple have done so much better than Google, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon. For whatever reason, people trust Apple a whole lot more than they trust any of those other companies because they've got a proven track record. And when Microsoft come out and say, we've got recall, it's going to scrape your screen every 10 seconds and then it's going to store it all locally and no one can access it except an administrator, or if someone gets into your computer, or if someone uses some remote access software and gets into your computer. But just forget about that. And because Microsoft has shafted people in the past, people remember Clippy and they remember the horror that was Clippy. So they're like, no, we know that you can mess up. So, but Apple, we have more trust in, which I don't know. And you can not trust Apple if you want to as well. I get it. They don't do everything perfectly. I don't want
No
it to
one's
sound
perfect.
like they're perfect, but
Yep.
they're not the first line of Tina Turner. They're not simply the best, but they are sure as heck better than all the rest.
Oh, God. You deserve a close up of that.
It's simply the best. Better than all the rest.
What the fuck was I going to say now?
Sorry, I was getting too serious. I was ranting and I had to bring it back to stupidness.
Well, I want to go back to music now because I've seen this argument, and before they announced all this AI stuff, I reckon it's great. I hope it works out because I want it to integrate. I don't think it's going to be as perfect as what they say because it never is, and that's okay. I've been around Apple long enough, but let's go back to the music because Logic released the Logic Session music players, and I've seen this argument all around of people going, well, why? Well, isn't it just the same as using Suno and Udio? Isn't this just the same kind of thing? And if that's what you're thinking, then you're clearly not a fucking musician. You're just not. Because now Apple have already had this kind of thing for ages in GarageBand on iOS with the instruments that can generate notes for you and the session performers. They're pretty much a similar kind of thing, just nowhere near as advanced. And if anything, I will go to my grave saying this as somebody who didn't play piano, had no idea about keys or anything like that. It wasn't until I picked up GarageBand on iOS that I began to learn how to play. And using those tools, I have got better at so many instruments. If it wasn't for the drummer in GarageBand, I would not have an electronic drum kit here in my studio, and I would not have played drums on a shitload of your songs. So there's a lot to say about the Logic Session players because you can actually learn from them, and you are still making music. These are samples. They are sampled sounds that generate a rhythm to something that you've created. There's so many combinations of ways you can use this to make music. I've seen some people even say that Suno and Udio are similar to VST plugins, and it's like, no, that's not true.
It's a very different thing because if you look at the way, if you haven't used these are session musicians. So we've always had the auto drummer, which you were able to have a little bit of control over. You'd say, play this pattern or follow this bass guitar and play along with it, or do it in half time, double time, whatever. And now they've added that to keyboards and also to a bass player. And the keyboard player can basically play anything, strings, xylophones, electric piano, organs, whatever you like. So you can program it in. But as you're seeing on the interface there, it is still a human-led interface. So AI, artificial intelligence, Apple intelligence. They have called everything AI now, but they could have called Drummer AI 10 years ago when they first
Yes.
released it in GarageBand, because it was artificial intelligence, because you were giving it a bunch of prompts and then it played stuff based on your prompts. And that's all it does now.
I don't know
And why
about
should why should we not fear it? Because that's what it sounds like every time you plug it in. So it's until you human it, it sounds exactly like that. Because
every
I've heard
time.
that little passage
Yep.
every time.
Every single time you have to go in there and you have to start messing around with knobs, playing with your knobs, doing all this adding complexity, going in here, and you can just look, I'm just doing it randomly, don't even really care. And straight away, as soon as I'm done messing around with a bunch of knobs, it's going to be completely different than what we had initially. Let's hear it
Yep.
now. Still following the same chords.
Yep.
And what this does is, above anything else, it helps you kick off a song. Absolutely helps you generate more ideas. And like, these are just samples at the end of the day. This isn't scraping any data from any other artist. And you can know in your soul that you are not stealing from anybody. And I don't see the comparison at all. And for somebody to even look at something like this and go, no, I don't know, it still looks really hard, I think I'll just stick with using. No, you're not making fucking music if you're using Udio and Suno. You are not making music. Just be clear. Because the other thing too that we didn't cover when you look at Suno and Udio is, if you look in the terms and conditions, yes, it says you own the songs. You don't own the songs. You can use them. You can upload them to streaming services. But if it comes down to it and that song ended up generating 5 billion views, they're coming for you. It's theirs. Yep. They own it. You own the ability to use it commercially until they say, we're going to take you to court and take it back. Where if you're using Logic here, that will never happen. This is you making music. You will own this forever, and there is no shame in anyone's game who uses it.
Mm-hmm. And if you really have to, just get something from Suno and then put it in there, and then create session musicians that match the Suno
around it. Yeah,
you can cheat. But yeah, it's very weird. The people that are saying this is replacing people, like, why would you use a drummer or a bass player or a keyboard player? And it's the answer to that is because many of us don't have those people handy and able to be used. The alternative that we've been using is doing it ourselves and it's sounding like shit. So if I can have a keyboard part that is played slightly better, because instead of my plonk, 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 it's professionally sampled and professionally created templates that I can then tweak and move around and then even convert to MIDI and completely control afterwards if I want to change things, that's a lot better. That's going to actually make my music sound better. And a band that's together, it's kind of like the bass player. The way I thought about it the other day was, if you played in a band, you've all got that band member that you go to rehearsal, and the first thing they play, bass players in particular, they're like, they just start playing high ground.
I do it every time.
That's just where they go to.
I do it
because it sounds cool. So, and then you're like, okay, and then you just have to train your bass player. You have to say, that's great, but not everything has to be slapped octaves. Like, we don't have to be the Chili Peppers all the time. So then you can say, actually, can you try that up the neck a little more? And you can do the same thing here by just dragging it up. Can you try that in double time as opposed to this? You go do 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 do, and then you can do that. So it really is just like instructing. This is where I think that AI should be. You are the human, and you are telling the AI, you're telling the machine how you'd like it to sound, and the machine goes, "How is this, Overlord?" And you're like, "Not quite right. Can you just tweak a little bit?" And it's like, "What about this?" And the one thing that I think is kind of AI that a lot of people overlook is that there's like a randomize button there as well. So if you load up all this stuff and it sounds the same, you can say perform again. And that's like basically saying to your drummer or your bass player or your keyboard player, okay, you're almost there. I've given you all the instructions, but just tweak it a bit. Just make it sound a little different. And then they play it again. You're like, yep, you got it. It's good. Yeah, that little button there. Yep. So that will just change up the sound a little bit, and you get a slight variation on it. So Yeah, I think this is an example, a classic example of what AI is and where it can be used, because I've always called it human-led automation. That's what AI is, artificial intelligence. Yes, you're the human, you tell it to do stuff, and then it uses its smart machine learning to work out what you want, to analyze your patterns, and then create and provide something that works the best for you in your situation. And then if it's not right, you tell it, and then it fixes it and it keeps going. And that's where I think that machine learning and AI and everything should be, not making weird, disturbing videos.
I do like making weird, disturbing videos.
I mean, hey,
They
it's
do.
fun.
That's the
Don't
thing.
get me wrong.
Let me tell you, where I see Udio and Suno is making
Studio.
stupid songs. There's heaps of them out there. Like I Fell on My Dick and all these dumb songs where they've taken like 30 songs and My Farts Smell Like Yum and all this. They're so stupid. I've even made one for the Gladys show, that opens the Gladys show. For that kind of stuff, awesome. Really simple. Don't have to think about it. Again, it is copying, it is stealing the material, but if you're making it so ridiculous, it's the parody, it's the fun. Even with the videos, I have so much fun making the videos, and I get more pleasure out of seeing them go wrong, because that just shows that it's not perfect, and it never will be, and that's the thing. But while we're here with talking about Logic, and we've talked about all this music, I don't want people to feel discouraged. I always want to end the show being positive. And we have tools. We have tools like Logic and GarageBand, and you can make killer music with very, very limited skills these days. You don't need to go to things like Suno and Udio. You really don't. It's shit music. It's generic. It all sounds the same. There's no feeling to it, and you can even see just by using something like the songwriting session musicians in here, you can kick off something really good. If we don't have the ability these days to just go and hire session musicians. We don't have the money, but we have the ability to use technology like this with session musicians. Don't be overwhelmed, please, by this whole record label stuff. And your music has value. Your music has value. You know why? It should have value to you. I'm not making music for record labels. I'm not making music to get rich. I'm making music because I love fucking making music. I love the process. I love releasing it, eventually letting it go. I love the whole thing, and I love seeing other people make music and knowing that they're going through that same process, that joy that it brings them, or even the stress that it brings them of trying to get something out in time, or they're having trouble getting something down. So don't feel like this is the end of the world for music, because the opportunities that are there to make music are great for your heart, for your soul, for your mind, to get out this creative process that helps us compute the emotions that we deal with every day, the sadness, the joy, all that stuff. Without music, we'd be in a worse place. And let these record labels do all this shit, be informed, but let them do all this crap, because guess what? It ain't going to affect your music and you. Just be happy and just make music.
Yep, the music revolution, the home recording and independent creator revolution is continuing, and it is not going to stop. If you've seen the South Park movie, it's like the kid, La Resistance lives on.
Yes.
Yeah, be the resistance, because there's always, whenever there's something that's happening culturally, there is always a counterculture, and that's the thing that gives me hope and keeps me going, is that yeah, sometimes being blissfully ignorant and ignoring what's going on and just focusing on your stuff. And I was mentioning this, like Jade and I chat with other YouTube creators in a separate sort of Facebook, again owned by Meta. They're probably scraping that data and analyzing all of our patterns. Anyway, we chat about things that go on, and I just said, look, I've got to the point now where I can't deal with any of the. I don't watch the news because it's too depressing. I don't follow a lot of these stories because they bring me down, and I don't get involved in the high school level drama that goes on in like music forums like Gear Sluts and other places. I'll continue to call it that because it called itself that, and that's still where it lies. That's still where its heart is, because it just brings you down. And instead of doing all that, here's an idea. If you're a music creator, why not create music? Why not just forget about all of that sort of stuff? Sit down in front of your computer, in front of your iPad, your iPhone, grab your guitar, grab your keyboard, grab your virtual instruments. I don't care what you use, and create music, because that's what we're all here for at the end of the day. And I get absolutely baffled by people that spend more time complaining about things than actually just getting on and making music. And as you've said to me a lot of the time, Jade, is when you're online and you're seeing people that are trying to bring you down and telling you your shit and telling you that you need to stop making music and complaining about this and whinging about that, go to their profile, go and see how much music they've created, go listen to what they're putting out there. It'll be either zero or it'll be very underwhelming. And then think to yourself, consider the source. Like, think about where this information is coming from and maybe just scroll past and get back to creating your music, or just come hang out on Create, Record, Release or the Warts pages, because we're all awesome. Just to say.
Yeah, look, this whole thing, you can just delete this whole show from your memory. All this stuff's going on. This has all been for naught, because I know I can speak for you here. I get up every day and do this channel and bust my absolute ass every day, and could be doing so many other things, because I want to see people make music. I want to see people get better. I want to see people grow. I want to keep learning as well too. That's why I get up and learn 5 apps every goddamn week, and burst my brain trying to learn all these apps, because you can teach an old dog new tricks. And every day I love learning new tricks, and I love passing them on, and I love learning new tricks from other people. And that is what music is all about: sharing the knowledge, sharing the music, sharing the experience. And that's what I am here to do, and I know you are here to do. And I'm very thankful that we have so many people around who make great music and support what we do here as well too. So think positive and just keep rocking it. Yeah.
Yep. Building people up and helping other people out, as opposed to tearing them down. It's just the only way to be, because it makes you feel good, makes you feel warm down in your cockles.
Perfect. Hey, Laurie, we see Laurie there. Hello. And I want to thank everybody for coming out here today. I know it was a little bit legalese and all that stuff. I don't care. I was frothing at the mouth to do this today. Literally, I even took a COVID test, which came back negative, thankfully. I see so much of this going on, so much of this AI stuff, and so many people getting bent out of shape over it. And I just find it absolutely fascinating to watching all these headless chickens running around going, bark, 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 and it's like, I'm still just making music. It's not going to change. My world has not changed.
Yeah. Look, and if you're interested in this stuff, by all means, I don't mean to tell you what to do.
Absolutely.
So if you do want to be interested, if you want to be like me and sit back with popcorn and just watch what happens, but I think worrying about it or getting too involved in it or thinking it's going to have a massive impact on you and what you do, I don't know, the media kind of tells you that, doesn't it? The media overhypes things and over-importantalizes things and makes everything feel like it's the end of the world. It's not. I've always said nothing is as good or as bad as you think it is, so that your highs aren't always as high as they feel and your lows aren't always as low as they feel. Everything's somewhere in between, and if you have more good days and bad days, you're kind of winning at life. So just do the best you can, keep creating, and move on, and let the other people, let the venture capitalists and the hedge funds and the big corporations and the entrepreneurs manage all their shit, and you just do you.
I want to thank you, Pete, for coming on here today and spending some time with me. I always value our time together. And as I said, I love doing this because I get to just rant and have fun and not feel that I have to hold anything back. And that makes me happy.
Nice.
So I'm just going to download. Oh, it won't let me do it. I'll just leave it up as it is. So if I just see if I can go full screen. Yes, I can go full screen. Cool. Because we're going to go out with an AI song because it makes me laugh. This song that I put, this was the first AI song I put together, and it still makes me laugh at how pathetic and how weird all the phrasing is. And it's definitely trying to be like a love ballad and all this stuff. And just the lyrics that made it. Well, I made the lyrics in ChatGPT, and it's so fucking stupid. But anyway, where can people find you, Pete Johns?
Very easily, if you Google my name or use Bing Pete Johns, you'll find me everywhere. So Pete Johns Studio Live Today, or you can just go to studiolivetoday.com. There you can follow me on the YouTubes, the Instagrams, X even. I don't really post there anymore.
What is
all the
X?
places. What is X? All the places. And yeah, I'm live 3 times a week. Got a weekly podcast as well, and lots of tutorials to help you learn GarageBand, Logic Pro, mobile creating, songwriting, and everything in between. And we are 2 months until Songtember. So that's our big Song in a Month challenge over on Studio Live Today. So get your creative juices flowing and join in, because I think last year we had over 100 people, and it seems to be growing year on year. We have lots of people that join, and we all create, record, and release a song in the month of September. So you can join me over for that as well.
I'll be back tomorrow, same time, looking at a couple of apps by Jan Mays. I've got the opening hour. We've got Walk With Me, episode 4, season 4, happening on Sunday if you're in the US and UK, before the rant, which is about mastering this week and the importance of your mixes. They are very important. All right, let's get out of here. Remember, do the things that make you happy. Mistakes make you better. What's the other stuff I say? Stay
I hate
awake.
it when you forget your own catchphrase.
What's your
It's been a long 2 hours. Thank you, Jade, for having me.
We'll go with your
Appreciate
catchphrase instead. Can we have your catchphrase instead?
Yeah, it's be kind to yourself, be kind to others, keep creating.
Absolutely. This is Whisper Goodbye. And it even generated a coffee shop scene here. So I'll bring this screen up and we'll go out. Whisper Goodbye. Thanks you all for being here. Let's get out of here. Let's
Thanks,
Oge.
folks.
And I'll catch you all later. Let's go. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Remember the leaves, they were falling down like my heart to the ground when you said, need time. The coffee was cold on that gray October day. Your eyes looked away and the sky turned to rime. We walked under stars that no longer shone bright, silent echoes in the night where love used to lie. I held on to dreams, slipping fast through my hands as you drew up new plans under that old moonlit sky. You were the promise of summer, a dance in the rain, never needing a cover. Now I'm tracing our steps through the whispers of goodbye, finding solace in tears that I no longer need to hide. Cafe where we met, now just tables and chairs, empty set, no one there, just the ghost of your smile. I flipped through old photos where laughter was caught, now just battles we fought, frozen frames for a while. The bridge where you kissed me, under flickering lights, promised love. All those nights, now it's empty and cold. Your shadow still lingers where we once had it all. in the rain, never needing a cover. Now I'm tracing our steps through the whispers of goodbye, finding solace in tears that I no longer need to hide. As the seasons will change, I'll remember our time, a bittersweet rhyme under skies white and blue. For though love can end in the whispers of night, in the heart